In previous class, we have discussed about the different classifications of data structure. Under that, mainly we have two types. One is the primitive data structure, again second one is the non-primitive data structure. Under primitive, we have basic data types like integer, float, character, and boolean. Under non-primitive data structure, again we have two types: linear data structure and non-linear data structure. Here, linear data structure means, suppose if the memory location is sequential order, you can call that as the linear data structure. For example, arrays, linked lists, stacks, and queues. Okay, now, in non-linear data structures, that memory locations that is not in sequential order, that may be the hierarchical order in trees, or there may be a relationship between two vertices that is in graphs. Okay, we'll discuss all these data structures one by one. Okay, first we will discuss about the arrays. Okay, before that, uh, different operations we can perform on data structures. It is the insertion operation or inserting. Okay, here it is used to add a new data item in the given collection of data items. You can insert new data to the given collection of data items. Okay, that operations we can call as the insertion, or deletion operations. You can just delete the data item from a given collection of data items. Sorting means you can just arrange the data items in some order, that may be in ascending order or descending order. Then searching, you can find out whether that particular data item is present in that one particular location or not. That operation we can call as the searching. Traversing means you can access each data item that is present in array exactly once, that we can call as the traversing. Merging means, suppose if you have many data items that may be stored in different files, you can just merge all the data items and you can create the single file that we can call as the merging operations. Okay, all these operations we can perform on data structure. Again, that data structure may be array, or that may be stack, or that may be queue, or that may be the non-linear data structure. We can perform all these operations on that particular data. Okay, first we'll discuss about the arrays. Yeah, as you know, array, that is one of the data structure, that is linear data structure. Here we can store a fixed size sequential collection of elements of the same data type. Here, this array that is used to store the variables, or used to store the values of the same type. Here, this array that holds the several value of the same kind. So now, position of each element we can compute it using the index number. So now, how we can declare the array? Here one simple example. I'm audible, right, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Here, one simple example, uh, that data or array that holds the integer values. So we have to declare array first with data type, and here data type, that is integer, array, that is the name of that array, and 10, that is the size of this particular array. Okay, in this case you can just store 10 elements in array name, that is array. Okay, again that is the integer type data. Okay, here we have the how it is stored in the memory location. We have the elements, 10 elements. Then each element is having the index number, or we can call that as the subscript. Okay, that index number that will start from 0 to 9 because size is 10. Okay, this is the, based on this index number, you can access the element or value that is present in that particular location. But actual address of this memory location, that is different. We are not using that. We are just using the index number to access the element of that particular location. Okay, now here we can represent the arrays in different ways. Suppose size of that array, that is n, and name of that array, that is a. We can denote that array in different ways. One notation, we can just use the subscript value, an, a2, a3, etc., etc., an. Okay, now can you tell me what is n here? What is n? Yes, any student? What is n?
Index number.
Index number, or n, that is the size of the array. Understood? Total number of elements, that is n. You can just represent that using the subscript method a1, a2, a3, again etc., etc., an. N is the size of the array. Okay. Or you can use another notation. You can use the parenthesis a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, etc., etc., an. Okay. You can use this method also. Another method, you can use the square bracket. Okay. Usually we are using this last method. We are using the uh, square bracket to represent the array location or to store the values, or to represent the array we are using the square bracket a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, etc., etc., a of n. The different notations you can use while using the arrays. Usually we are using the last method.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
indices, ma'am, shouldn't they be from a of 0 to a of n minus 1?
Yes. This is general example.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, the general example, I will start the number from 1 to n.
Thank
I have not initialized any array. This is just one simple notation.
Okay.
I
Thank
have
you,
not declared the array. Okay. And now here, how we can initialize the array elements. In different methods, we can store the values in that particular array location. Here, the first method, we can specify the data type, then specify the name of that array, name of that memory location. Now, again, we can specify the size, and along with this, we can initialize all the values of that particular array. Okay, array name is marks, and all the values of that array, that is, we have 5 values. Okay, now here listen, that array index that will start from 0, and 4, that is the last index. Totally we can store 5 elements because array index that will start from 0. Another method, int marks of 5, data type is int, array name is marks, size is 5, but we are initializing only 2 values. Suppose if we have less than 5 values, it will just initialize that values in the first location. Here 90 it will initialize in the 0th index, again 45 it will initialize in the second index, that is one index, again remaining places it will just consider as 0. We don't have the value to store in that particular location, but size is 5, so remaining location it will just consider as 0. Compiler will put the 0 in that remaining location, right? In next, here third method, int marks, and we have not mentioned the size of that particular array, but we have the values for that array. In this case, here totally we have 6 elements, so it will compiler automatically consider the size of this array as 6. Again, array index, that is from 0 to 5. Students, mute your microphone. Any doubt in the third method? Understood, right? Yes. Suppose if you didn't mention the size of the array, it will consider the total number of elements that is present in that array, that is the size. Okay, in last initialization, we have the array marks and size is 5, that is 5 memory location is used for this particular array marks, but all the values of that array, that is 0. Here we have only 1 0 inside the flower bracket, so it will consider all the values as 0. So these are the different methods we can initialize the arrays, right? Okay, next, how we can calculate the length of the array. Okay, now here, length of the array means that is total number of elements you can store in that array or in that particular memory location. Okay, now to calculate the length of the array, we can use one general formula, that is length equal to upper bound, again upper bound, that is the upper index, minus lower bound, that is lower subscript or lower index, plus 1, that is the length of that particular array. For example, here we have array age and size of that array, that is 5. In 0th location we have 2. Again in first index we have the value 5, second index 3, third index we have the value 1, and fourth index we have the value 7. So index that will start from 0 to 4. Okay. Array size is 5. Okay, now how we can calculate the length of the array? Okay, here formula length equal to upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. Okay, here lower bound value that is 0. Again upper bound value, that is 4. So 4 minus 0 plus 1, that is the length of the array or size of the array. Any doubt in this, students? How we can calculate the length of the array? Any doubt? All the students understood, right?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes,
No
ma'am.
doubt.
Understood,
No.
ma'am.
Okay. So now, here in this slide, we can calculate the length of the array. Next, how to calculate the actual address of the array element. Okay, usually we are representing or we are accessing the elements of that array based on the index. But actual address in memory, computer memory, that is different. So how we can calculate the actual address of that particular array? Actual address of this particular index a of I, that equal to b plus
Not visible, PPT.
not visible.
Not visible, ma'am.
1 second. Now visible, students?
No.
Visible?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay,
No,
I will
ma'am.
just
No, ma'am.
okay. I will just log out and log in again. Be there, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
What about now? Visible?
Visible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now, which page is visible? Calculating the length of an array.
Yes, ma'am.
That page is visible, right? Calculating the length of an array.
Yes, ma'am.
You understood this? How to calculate the length of the array? Formula, that is upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. Right? Upper bound, that is the, here in this example, upper bound, that is 4. Again minus lower bound, that is 0. plus 1. Here you will get the size of or length of that particular array, right? Okay, next, how to calculate the address of array. This slide is visible, right? Students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here, A is actually that data that is stored in the memory location, array values that is stored in the memory location. We are just representing that array memory location using the index number, or we are accessing the values based on the index number of that particular array, but actual address of that value, that is different. Now, how to calculate the actual address of the array element? Okay, to calculate that, here we have the formula A of I. I means that is the index number. We have to calculate the actual address of this particular element or this particular index. Okay, for that, we have the formula B plus W into I minus LB. Here B, that is the base address of that array, and W, that is the storage size of one element stored in the array, into I, that is the subscript or index value, and LB, that is the lower bound or lower limit. Suppose if that is not given in the problem, okay, we have to assume that lower bound value is 0. Right? Okay, B, base address. W means that is the word length. That means, okay, here in computer we have different types of processors. Okay, that may be the 16-bit processor, or that may be the 32-bit processor. Again, that may be the 64-bit processor. Okay, now what is 16-bit processor? Okay, here actually we are storing the data in registers. Okay, what is the size of that register? 16-bit register means we can store 2 bytes of values. Okay, again, for integer, we can store 2 bytes of values. Again, suppose if that is the 32-bit register, we can store 4 bytes of values for the integer. Again, suppose if that is the 64-bit register, in that also we can store 4 bytes of values for the integer. So, integer value that depends on your processor. Maybe suppose that processor is 16-bit, integer value that is 2 bytes. Again, that processor is 32-bit, integer value that is 4 bytes. Again, suppose if that is the 64-bit processor, integer that will take 4 bytes of memory location. Just remember this. In this textbook, we are taking that integer as 2 bytes. But in new books, okay, they will consider that integer size is 4 bytes because they are using the 32-bit processor, or that may be the 64-bit processor. So that we can call as the word length. W means word length. Okay, that means how many bytes of data you can store in each register. That we can call as the word length. So now one simple problem, how to calculate the actual address of the array element. Okay, this slide is visible, right? Students? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
if you have any doubt, you just inform me immediately, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, now here, simple problem, how you can calculate the actual address of array element. We have the formula, and here we have one problem. That array, that is the integer type, and array name, marks, and size that is not given in this problem. But here we have how many elements? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elements. Okay, we have totally 8 elements. Now you have to calculate the address of marks of 4 in this particular location address. You have to calculate. Actually, in marks of 4, we have the element 88. We have to calculate the actual address of this 88. And here we are considering the base address as 1000. So, here, how to calculate the actual address of marks of 4? Formula A of 5, that is marks of 4, equal to base address that is given in the problem that is 1000 plus W means here we are using the integer type. So integer, here we are considering the 16-bit processor. So integer will take 2 bytes of memory location. So word length, that is 2, integer data type. So it will take 2 bytes of memory location. So next parameter, that is I, that is the index number. We have to calculate the value of location 4. So index value, that is 4, minus lower bound value that is not given in the problem. So we have to consider that as 0. So solve this expression, we will get the actual address of marks of 4, that is 1008. 1000, that is starting address, then 1002, 1004, 1006, again 1008, that is the actual address of the element marks of 4 or 88. Any doubt in this problem? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
just write this formula, how we can
Yes,
calculate the actual address of the element. Write this formula, right?
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you please repeat LBs?
LB means that is lower bound. The lower
Ma'am,
bound, I means that is index, subscript value, right? See, B, that is the base address, starting address. Understood? B is the base address. W is the word length of that data type, right? Size of that data type. I, that is the index or subscript. And LB, that means the lower bound, right? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now solve this problem. For an array declared as int ARR of 50, calculate the address of ARR of 35 if base address equal to 1000 and word length, that is 2. Size of that integer, that is 2. Consider the size of the integer as 2. Yes, tell me the answer. Okay, here we have the formula A of I. Just write this formula. A of I equal to I means index, B plus W into I minus LB formula. And here we have the problem. Calculate the actual address of ARR of 35. Yes, tell me the answer.
1070.
1070.
70.
How you can calculate this? Base address, that is 1000 plus word length, that is 2, right?
Yes.
2, then I, what is I value?
35.
35 minus lower bound, that is not given in the problem, so we have to assume that as 0. Sometimes they will give that lower bound value also. Okay, so 1000 plus 2 into 35, how much? 1070. All of you getting the same answer, right? Students,
Yes, ma'am.
this is one of the important problem. Okay. Now, one more problem, one more example. Here, in this problem, array that is yum, listen here, array that is yum, and 1300, that is lower bound of this array yum, and 1900, this is not the actual values, this is 1300 is the lower bound, again 1900, that is the upper bound. And base address of that array, that is 1020, and size of each element, that is 2000, 2 bytes. Find the address of 1700. Understood the problem statement? Array yum. Okay, this is the partial array, not complete array. And here we have the part of that array. In that part, we have the lower bound value, that is 1300, upper bound value, that is 1900, base address, that is 1020, and size of integer, that is 2 bytes. And we have to calculate the actual address of yum of 1700. Okay, first write all the values. Base address 1020, lower bound that is 1300, word length size that is 2, again I index 1700. That means we have to calculate a of I, m of I, or that may be m of 1700. Just 1000 substitute these values to this formula. 1020 plus 2 into 1700, that is the index, minus 1300, that is lower bound. See here we are not assuming that as 0, already that is given in the problem. And evaluate this expression, we will get the actual address of 1700, m of 1700, that is 1820. Any doubt in this problem?
No, ma'am.
All of you understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you have any doubt, you clear your doubt now itself. Understood, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, see here, suppose if you get this problem in your exam and all, and if they didn't give the size of that data type, maybe integer or float, you have to write one note. Assume size of integer is 2 bytes, or assume size of integer is 4 bytes. You have to write that note. Okay. Suppose if that is not mentioned in your problem, based on the processor, maybe 16-bit processor or maybe 32-bit processor, based on that processor, size of that data type may vary. Okay. You know, one simple program using array. Okay, here, this slide is visible, right? The
Yes.
program to find the sum marks of n student using an array.
Yes,
Okay, now we have discussed about some concept related to the array. Now use that concept to write the simple program. Write a C program to find the sum marks of n students using array. So how you can write the program? First, we have to declare the array to store the marks of n students. Then we need one variable I that is used for the iteration purpose. We have to read 10 student marks. So to increment that student one by one, we are using that iteration value. And n, that is the total number of students that is present in the total number of elements or total number of students present. Again, some value, initially some value is 0. To store the result, we are using this variable. Then enter the number of students, read the number, then read the marks one by one. See here we are using array scanf %d ampersand marks of I. See here we are starting, see here, listen, we are starting the index from 1, not from 0. Understood, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That is user convenient. In general, it will consider as 0, but you can store from the location 1 or you can store the elements from the location 0, your convenient. So here I value, that is 1, marks of 1, store the first student mark, again marks of 2, store the second student marks, etc. etc. Same way, here we have to store the 10 student marks in the marks array, and after reading the values each time add that marks to the variable sum, and finally display the value of sum. Any doubt in this program? Those who have studied in the second semester C programming, any doubt? Yes.
Value. What it indicates, ma'am?
Yeah, which one? Hello, student.
Hello, ma'am. In printf, enter marks of student %d and I+1 is there, right?
Yeah. Enter the
What
marks
it
of
indicates?
%d. That means here we have to enter the marks of each student.
Ma'am, it should be just I, no?
Yeah, yes. That should be just I. Correct. Okay, suppose if you start this program or index from 0, right? Now you can give I plus 1, right? Suppose if this value is 1, at that time we have to give the value as I. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Condition I smaller than n.
Okay, here suppose if that value I is 0, condition is I less than n.
N.
Suppose if the condition is I value is 1, here that is less than or equal to n. Very good. Understood, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other doubt? Any other doubts?
No, no.
Okay. I will proceed. Understood, right? How we can use simple array. Okay, next we will discuss about the structures. What is structure? Okay, now array. What is the difference between array and structures? First, arrays are collections of data of the same type. Suppose if you want to store the data items of different data types, then we can use the concept of structure. A structure, or you can call that as the record, is a collection of data items where each item can be of same type or it may be the different data type. In array, we have to store the data of same type, but in suppose if you want to store the data of the different data types, then we have to go for the structure. Structure can be used to group items of possibly different data types into a single data type. Okay, for example, here we have the general syntax of structure. To declare the structure, we have to use the keyword struct, then give some name for that memory location, that is, or structure. This we can call as the structure tag. Give the name for that structure, and then declare the different member of that structure. Okay, that may be data type member 1, data type member 2, etc., etc., data type member n. Okay, this we can call as the data member of the structure. Okay, here these data members may be of different data types, right? Okay, for example, here we have the structure employee. Okay, this we can call as the user defined data type. Okay, that is employee, that is not the built-in data type, that is the user defined data type. Int, float, etc., that we can call as the built-in data type. This structure we can call as the user defined data type. Okay, under this employee we have 3 data members, that is information related to that particular employee. Okay, that is the employee number, employee name, and employee salary. Okay, now this employee number, that is the integer, employee name, that is the character, again employee salary, that is the float value. Okay, here using this structure, employee structure, you can use the 3, or you can declare the 3 data member or 3 variable of different data types. Right? Now, after declaring the structure, we have to create the structure variable for the structure. So here, E, that is the structure variable used for this particular structure. Okay, during the declaration time, what is the use of the structure variable? Okay, during the declaration time, it won't allocate any memory location for this data members. Only after creating the structure variable, it will allocate the memory for these data members. Understood? Students, understood? What is the use of the structure variable? Usually we are creating any variable in name. Okay, now size of that name variable, that is 2 bytes or 4 bytes. Okay, same way, okay, here E, that we can call is the structure variable created for this user defined data type. Okay, and now using that structure variable, you can just access the data member of the structure. See here, after creating the structure variable, it will allocate maybe 2 or 4 bytes for the integer and 10 bytes of memory location for the character, again 4 bytes of memory location for the salary. Right? Now why here 10 bytes of memory location for the employee name? Because that is the character, and each character that will take 10 bytes of memory location. Totally we have 10 characters. That is size of that array 10. Any doubt? Mute your microphone. Any doubts? Mute your microphone. Any doubts? Students, who is that? Who is that? Nitesh. Nitesh, mute your microphone. Don't disturb others. Nitesh, are you there? Students, anybody, please call him and tell him to mute his microphone. This is about how we can define the structure and how we can define the structure variable. Okay, next we will discuss here. Yes, any doubt? Okay, here, while declaring the structure variable, we can declare any number of structure variables. Okay, syntax is struct, then the structure name or tag name, then a variable name, that is emp1, emp2, etc., etc. Okay, that means here in this particular case, what will happen? Okay, we are creating two structure variables. Okay, that is emp1 and emp2 for this particular structure. Okay, one set that holds enum, that is emp1, it will allocate the memory location for these three variables, data members. Again, emp2 also allocate the memory location for this data member. That means we are allocating two sets of memory location for these data members, that is emp1 and emp2. Yes, understood? Yes or no?
Yes.
So now, one simple example. Here we have the structure that is point, structure name is point. Okay, now here we can declare the structure variable in different ways. See how we can declare the structure variable? See, one method here we have the struct point and data member of the structure, that is x comma y, and without using that struct keyword, okay, here only we can declare the structure variable p1. But open flower bracket, close flower bracket, that semicolon we have to give after creating the structure variable p1. P1 is the structure variable. Okay, this method we can call as the global declaration. Global declaration of the structure variable. And another method, we can use the struct keyword, or you can use the basic data types to create the structure variable. So here struct, and that structure name is point, two data members x and y, and inside the main function we are declaring the variable structure variable. So use the keyword struct, then point, that is the structure name, and p1, that is the variable created for this structure. Okay, this we can call as the local declaration. Okay, first method, that is global declaration of the structure variable, and second method, that is the local declaration of the structure variable. Understood, right? How we can create the structure variable.
Yes.
Okay, next one more method, one more example. Okay, here that structure name human being. Okay, here we have two data members, that is name and age. Okay, name is character type, character array. So this we can call as the character array. Again, age, that is integer type. Okay, now in that program we have one function, that is fun. Okay, inside this function you can create this structure variable. Okay, that is struct human being, that is the structure name, and person one, that is a structure variable, and you can just use the data member of that structure using the dot operator. I will explain this. So just remember, this is the local scope or local variable declaration using the structure. Again, here using the directly while creating the structure, you can just create the structure variable also, but semicolon we have to give after giving the variable name. Understood this, right? How we can create the structure variable. Okay, to allocate the memory location for that particular data members, we have to create the structure variable. Using the structure variable only we can access the actual value of that particular data member or structure member. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
One example. So now here how we studied how we can declare the structure, how we can declare the data member of that structure. Then we have studied how we can declare the variable for that structure. See, data member and structure variable different. See, data member means data variable that is present inside the structure we can call as the data member. Structure variable means that means we are creating the variable for the structure, right? Okay, now how we can initialize the structure data member? Here one method that using the keyword then struct name, you can create the data member, initialize the values for that data member. Okay, for example, struct employee. Employee is the structure name. EMP. See, listen here. EMP1, that is the variable created for this structure. We are performing all the operations together here. Variable created for the structure equal to Raj 1001. Okay, that is the employee name. Maybe what is that? Employee name, employee number, employee name, and salary. Employee name, employee number, and salary, that are the values. Understood, right? How we can initialize the data member. See here, one more example that is given in the green color. Structure name is points, and here we have the values int x equal to 0, int y equal to 0. Okay. Here compiler will generate the error message. Can you tell me why?
Cannot initialize a member inside a structure.
Cannot initialize the data member inside the structure. Why? Tell me. Any idea, students? Any idea?
Because it's just a template, ma'am. It's not a variable. It's not an object.
Yeah, here it is
It
just
doesn't
data.
define any spaces.
Very good. Okay, this is just data members. We have not allocated any memory location for these data members, right? Only after creating the variable for the structure, it will allocate the memory location for this data members. So in this particular time, we have not allocated any memory location for X and Y, so we cannot initialize these data members inside the structure. Right? Now, how we can perform that operations? First, we have to create the variable for the structure, maybe struct point a, maybe a is the variable name. After that, you can initialize this data member a dot x equal to 0, again a dot y equal to 0. Right? Yeah. Now, declaration, definition, and initialization together, one program. Okay, here in this program, we have structure employee. Am I audible, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
mute your microphone. It's disturbing lot. Structure definition, here structure name, that is employee, and here we have the name, salary, and EMP num. These are the data members. Then declare the structure variables. Okay, that is structure variable EMP1 and EMP2. Now two sets of memory location is allocated for this employee, structure employee. Then EMP1 equal to initialize the values, name, salary, and employee number. Again for the EMP2, initialize some values, that is name, salary and employee number. Understood, right? How we can declare the structure, how we can declare the structure variable, again how we can initialize the data member of that particular structure. See now one simple program, how we can initialize the data member, how we can access the values of that particular data member. Okay, now here to access the members of the structure, here we have to use the dot operator. Remember, to access the data member of that structure, we have to use the dot operator. Okay, here x and y, that is the data member of the structure, directly we cannot access this x and y. Understood? Directly we cannot access this x and y. Through the structure variable and dot operators, we can access the data member of that structure. Okay, for example, struct point is the structure, x and y, that is the data member of that structure. Create the structure variable for the structure. The structure variable name is p1. Struct point p1. Just see the syntax, how to create the structure variable. We have to use the variable, that keyword struct, then structure name, that is point. P1 is the user defined variable name, equal to 0, 1 means for x we are assigning the value 0, again for y we are assigning the value 1. After that, suppose if you want to modify the value of x, through that structure variable, we can modify p1.x equal to 20. After that, we can perform some operations on that variable or data member through structure variable x equal to %d, y equal to %d equal to p1.x, p1.y. Any doubt in this program?
No, ma'am.
Others? Any students? Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Understood, right?
No,
How
ma'am.
okay. How you can create the structure? Understood, right? First method, struct point. That means you have to give the keyword struct, then give the structure name, then you can initialize all the data member of that structure. That may be any type. All the information related to that particular employee or particular student that we have to declare. After that, we have to create the structure variable. Again, structure variable we can create in two ways. One is using the structure keyword, or directly here after flower bracket, after closing flower bracket, you can create the structure variable p1, then semicolon. Okay, then initialize the values. Directly we cannot initialize the values inside the structure. Through structure variable, we have to initialize the values. Here we have the initialization and declaration. After that, you can perform some operations on that structure. p1.x equal to 20, then just display the value of x and y under this structure, p1.x, p1.y. What is the output of this program?
X is equal to 20, y equal to 1.
Y equal to 1.
Yeah, x equal to 20 and y equal to 1. One more example. Here we have the employee, 3 data members, initialization. Then suppose if you want to access the value of name, you can just give the method e.name. Again, to access the value of salary, through structure variable you have to access. Again, you can access the value of employee number through structure variable. Okay. And after accessing the value, you can just display that values inside the printf statement. E.name, percentage of E.salary, again percentage D, E.employee number. Again, you can, one more thing, you can initialize the values directly while declaring the structure variable or through structure variable, or you can use the scanf statement to read the values from the keyboard. Okay, for example, percentage yes, e dot name, percentage of, e dot salary, again percentage d, e dot employee number. Okay, directly you can initialize the values, or during the runtime you can just access or read the values from the user, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Just take this program and tell, suppose if you have any doubt, ask with me. Trace this program. Simple program. Whatever I have explained in previous slides, same thing in structured way. Write a program to read employee number, name, salary, and print the details. First, struct employee, create the structure, then declare 3 data members, name, salary, and EMP number. Name is the character type, salary that is float type. Yes.
Looping statement is used.
Looping statement that is not required. Here we are displaying information related to the one employee.
Then there is 2 printf.
Wait. Enter name. Where 2 printf statements? In the first printf statement, we are reading the values, and in the second printf statement, we are displaying that values. That's it. Yes. Any doubt? See here. Understood, right? Why looping statement? We are displaying the information here. We are not initializing the values through structured variables. We are reading the values from the keyboard. Enter name, number, and salary of employee. First printf statement. Read that values. Here we have scanner, e dot name, e dot emp number, e dot salary. After reading that values, directly print that using the printf statement. Yes. Understood, right?
E dot name doesn't have ampersand, ma'am, in front of it.
No, no. Can you tell me why?
It does not have an.
Yeah, we are not. Suppose if you give the ampersand, it will display the error message. Can you tell me why?
Because it is pointing to the base address, right?
It is pointing to the base address, or here we are considering that as the character type or string type, right? Always here name of that array that is pointing to the base address. Here that is the string type, so we are not giving the actual ampersand. Already that is the address of that array. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
What is percentage? Yes.
Percentage? Yes.
Format specifying.
Percentage yes, percentage D, percentage F. That is the format specifiers. To store the values in that particular address, we are using these format specifiers or access specifiers. Okay, percentage yes for the string, percentage D for integer, percentage F for float. Right? Correct, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, any doubt? Any other doubt?
No.
Shall I move to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here we have the output. First, read the data from the user and display that output. Okay, here, see here, while reading the data, we are reading salary as 1000. While displaying, we are displaying as 1000 dot, then six zeros. Why?
Because it's a float.
Floating point. Okay, because that salary variable, that is the float point, floating type. So after decimal point, it will display 6 digits, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, inside the structure, we can use the arrays. Okay, array inside the structure. Here, we have the structure student. again name, that is the character type, character array, USN, marks. Okay, that means each student is having the different subjects. Each student is having the different subjects. Now, how we can read that subject marks, each subject marks, or how we can print that each subject marks? For that, we can use the arrays inside the structure. Understood? Okay, here marks, that is the array type. And here, same thing, create the structure variable for the structure. Okay, enter the USN and name. Okay, then you have to enter 3 subjects marks for each student. See, for each student. Okay, for that, here we are using the for loop. I equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. See, listen here, scanf percentage %d ampersand s dot marks of I. Okay, s dot marks of I, read 3 subjects marks from index 0 to 2, then add that 3 subject marks and store the result in one variable total. Finally, display the student USN name and total marks of total marks. Understood this, right? Just
Yes,
take
ma'am.
this program also. Write this program and trace this. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Structure name, that is student. 4 data members, name, USN, marks, and one more variable, data member, that is total. Again, that is the integer type. Then create the structure variable, yes. Declare some local variables. I is for the iteration and n, that is for the subject. Whether we are using n here. Let's see. Next, enter the USN and name. See here, ampersand s dot USN, s dot name, because name, that is a string type or character type, character array. Then enter the marks in 3 subjects, right? Okay, next we have to enter the 3 subject marks for each student. So I equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. Read that marks.
Ma'am,
S dot, yeah.
in int n is not usable, no ma'am.
Yeah, n is not used. That is not required. Okay. I equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. Then scanf percentage %d ampersand s dot marks of I. See, this we can call as the array inside the structure. Then s dot total equal to total plus s dot marks of I. A small problem in this program. Can you tell me? Yes, anybody? Can you tell me what is the problem? You'll get the output. Sometime you get the proper output. Maybe sometime you may get the invalid output. Can you tell me why?
It's totally initialized to 0.
In total is not initialized to 0 in this program. So initialize that value. How we can initialize that value, total value? Where you can initialize?
In the main function.
In the main function. Inside this, yeah. Inside the structure, we cannot initialize that total value. How we can initialize that total value inside the main? Tell me.
S dot
Yeah.
total
Yes dot total equal to 0.
0.
Directly we cannot initialize like total equal to 0. We have to use yes dot total equal to 0, because yes, that is the variable name, variable created for the structure, right? Yes. Otherwise, what will happen? It will just take the garbage value. Sometime at total in that particular memory location, there may be some other values. So it may take that garbage value. So first, before using any variables, clear that values. Okay. maybe in multiplication and addition. Before using that variable values, we have to clear that, right? Then print that value. Student with using percentage G, percentage S has total marks, S dot usn, S dot name, and S dot total. Right? Understood, right? Arrays inside the structure. Okay, next we'll discuss arrays of structure. See, arrays inside the structure is different. Array of structure is different. Okay, now what is this arrays of structure? See, in previous example, we can store the information related to the one employee, or maybe two employee, or maybe three employee. Based on your structure variable, maybe you have created the structure variable as employee, emp1, emp2, emp3, struct employee, emp1, emp2, emp3. In that particular case, we can store the information related to the three employees, emp1, emp2, emp3. Suppose if you want to store the information related to the more than two employee or large number of employees, in that particular case, we have to go for the arrays of structure. Understood? If you want to store the information related to the more students, maybe third CSB students, you have 60 students in your class. We cannot create 60 variables for each student, right? We cannot create the 60 variables, so we can use the arrays of structures. Just one keyword, one statement, struct employee E of 10. Okay, here E, that is the structure variable, again that is the array type. Okay, in this example, you can store the information related to the 10 employees, right? Yes, understood, no? Okay.
Yes.
Here, while creating the structure variable, we have to use the concept of array. Okay, now, while using that variable, see, here we are reading the information from the user for each employee. So, how you have to read? Instead of simply giving E dot name, E dot salary, and E dot employee number, we have to use that as array. We have to use that structure variable as array. For example, E of I dot name, E of I dot salary, again E of I dot employee number. Again, while displaying also, we have to use that variable name as array. That we can call as the arrays of structure. Okay, here you can read the information related to n number of employees. Again, you can print information related to n number of employees. Understood, students? Yeah, any doubt?
No.
Okay, this is one of the important concepts. Why in your next modules we are using this concept, that is arrays of structure. You just take this program also. Struct employee, declare the data members, then write the main function. Okay, here n is required, that is total number of employees present. Okay, then I is for the iteration purpose. Read the values of number of employees. Okay, then write the two for loops to read the values, again to display the values. Right? So take this program. I'll call the attendance. Nishan,
Present, ma'am.
Nishmita. Yes. Are you there?